Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Here at Sparkrock, today's webinar is all about future-proofing your nonprofit. So if you're using a legacy system or some kind of software that you feel might be able to do a little bit better, we wanted to chat about that today. So just a little intro and cleanup, talking about how we're going to operate this webinar. So cameras are going to be accessible to moderators and speakers only. If you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to throw them into the Q&A. We have time at the end to go over all of your questions and concerns. We are going to mute ourselves and turn our camera off when our speakers are not talking, just so we don't hear any extra noise. And we will be sending out a recording of this webinar within a week. I'm Bree Ramsden. I'm the marketing manager at Sparkrock, and I am here with two of my coworkers, Gary and Wendy, and they are going to be running this session for you, teaching you all about Sparkrock and showing a demo. But before I pass it over to them so they can give you a little background on them, I wanted to review our agenda. So we're going to start off with a quick intro and an overview of what we do here at Sparkrock. And then we are going to get into an intro of the actual product, and you get to see it live in action. We are also going to sneak in a little preview of what our AI is, because Sparkrock, sneak peek, you know, nice and exciting. We're introducing AI into the platform. And then at the end, we will chat and discuss all of your questions and then close up. So I'm going to pass this over to Gary.
All right, thank you, Bree. Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here. So just a few words about myself. I am a senior account executive at Sparkrock. I've been working in the ERP space for over a decade now, helping, well, at least initially, both the nonprofit and non-for-profit organization finding the right solution for finance and HR. And in the past few years, I've decided to focus exclusively on nonprofit, and that's how I ended up joining Sparkrock. And when we talk about nonprofit, you got to love passionate people that are committed to make the world a better place, and that's actually what drawn me to it. But one common theme that you find with nonprofit, and I'm sure everybody in that webinar can relate to that, is that they are strapped with resources, right? They operate on very tight budget, and most of that budget is channeled directly into their mission, and rightfully so, right? But as a result, the technology they use is often behind and outdated, right? They find themselves running older systems and software that are 10, 15 years old, right? And sometimes even more. And those are usually those on-premise outdated legacy systems installed on local server or remote servers. But don't get me wrong, those systems have served their purpose, right? But when can you identify that the system that served you for so long is no longer serving you? That what appeared to be a cost saving is actually costing you so much more than you can imagine, right? Maybe in terms of time, resources, security risk, right? And regardless of the type of solution you're using, whether it's your grant management, your donor management, your financial management solution, your CRM, no matter what that is, right? Lots of those legacy systems are now reaching end of life, right? No more new features, no more improvement, no more updates or patches available, no bug fixing, not even any security patches, right? And we live in a world where data breaches and cyber attacks are very common. So you don't want to leave yourself open to vulnerable to breach, right? And it is not the only concern. Stability is another problem. These aging and outdated systems often experience like frequent crashes, downtime, issues, and all this while you're no longer receiving any form of support from your vendor. And when you add to the mix all the compatibility issue, right, your system may struggle to integrate with newer system of software. Of course, this is not a situation that you want to be in, especially when we narrow the scope to financial and HR management solution. It is a lot of risk that weigh on your shoulder, right? Any issue could paralyze your organization for days, weeks, or even months. So you want to make sure that you plan ahead and you seek for a scalable solution that you could partner with. And as you're planning to move away from your legacy system, you need to really think about what your new system should look like. When selecting an ERP solution, this is a decision, a commitment, I should say, that is going to stick with your organization for the next 5, 10, 15 years, maybe more, right? And this is really why you want to choose a partner which you believe you could grow and scale with, an experienced partner that understands your needs and your requirements. So it is very important to understand who your partner is and what their strengths are, right? And some of you here are already familiar with Sparkrock, but I imagine that a lot of you are not. So let me tell you a little bit about who we are and what we are about. Brief, you can move to perfect. A little over 20 years ago, we identified a gap in the market when it comes to nonprofit organization. And back then it was an underserved market, to say the least, with very unsophisticated product, right? And this is how Sparkrock was born in 2003, from this desire to provide nonprofit with better solution. And in order to achieve this goal, from day one, we partnered with Microsoft and worked hand in hand with them as part of what is called the Microsoft Embedded Program. And when most people think about Microsoft, they do not think about ERP, right? Microsoft has been an important player in this market for over 30 years. And those of you here that have used or that are maybe still using legacy systems like Dynamics GP or Solomon know what I am talking about. But of course, over time, over the past decades, Microsoft solution evolved through the technology, innovation, through new product and upgrades, right? And as it evolved and grew, so did we, right? So today, we are built on top of a Microsoft SaaS application called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And as you can see from the picture, our solution sits and lives within the Microsoft Dynamics 365 environment. So, well, we may wonder, right? What are we adding to the Microsoft ecosystem? What makes our solution so unique? So what we find, and Bri, if you can move to the next slide. Thank you. With our experience is that when you work with nonprofit organization, is that solution like Business Central, so solutions that are made specifically for-profit organization, are missing key functionalities that nonprofit organization like yours really need. And Business Central as is a great solution for businesses, right? And businesses are focused on revenue coming in the organization. They are on top of their sales, their margin, their inventory maybe. But when you think about nonprofit, you generally have fewer source of revenue. A bigger chunk of that revenue as you're receiving those grant, donation, right? So nonprofit are actually focused on the expenses, the money going out of the organization. It's all about how you spend that money and making sure that every cent is properly accounted for, especially since you must report back to your funders. So you have to think about requirements around requisition or invoice approval, around project and grant accounting or fund accounting, or around generating specific report. Those complex regulatory reports that you have, but that do not exist for the for-profit organization. And this is why the typical ERP solution do not work for nonprofit organization. And those that are using those solutions that were specifically designed for businesses end up wasting a lot of time and resources and having to implement a lot of manual process, right? So what we did is that we look at the level of sophistication that a solution like Business Central have on the revenue side, and we bring the same level of sophistication on the expense management side. And actually, before we came along and founded Sparkrock 20 years ago, nonprofit organization had pretty much the choice between the well-established solution designed specifically for businesses, and as we discussed, it is less than ideal, right? And B, the niche ERP solution built for for-profit organization. But that number one, do not include all the modules that you might need, right? Forcing you to look for a different solution when it comes to HR, scheduling, for example, right? And they end up using a patchwork of different solutions that very often do not integrate well with one another. And number two, which is even worse, those niche solutions are not as robust and as well developed as the solution available for businesses, right? They lack the stability, the security that larger organization can offer. And with Sparkrock, what we do is that we bring together in one side all the security and stability of the Microsoft infrastructure, and on the other side, the sector-specific expertise of Sparkrock with all the features and the functionalities that are specific to the needs of non-for-profit organization and human services organization. So really, we are the best of both worlds, right? What we bring to the table is that capacity to leverage the Microsoft investment in Business Central, which is significant, not only because it's cloud and you can access it anywhere, anytime, on any device, but also because you're benefiting from all the Microsoft investment. And privacy and security is just an aspect of this. Microsoft makes ongoing investment in the features, the functionality, but also in the mobility support, the interoperability within the Microsoft environment itself, right? And one of the great examples of this is the ability to integrate with the entire Microsoft Office 365 suite, right? The Excel, Outlook, Teams, and so on and so forth. So not only we leverage all the Microsoft resources and all the Microsoft investment, but then on top of that, we are offering vertical specific functionalities that were developed through 20 years of experience and investment in the nonprofit space. All right, so I hope that now you have a good understanding of who we are and what we do. So I'm going to hand it over to Wendy, our product specialist, to go over the modules included in Sparkrock and show a brief overview of the solution.
Thank you, Gary. Hello, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today. As Gary mentioned, I'll be your tour guide, taking you through a journey of Sparkrock 365. And as Gary mentioned, the foundation of our solution is Business Central. And as we go through the pages and screens and business processes today, you will probably not be able to tell where Business Central ends and Sparkrock 365 begins. And that's because we adhere to the standards of Microsoft when it comes to coding and performance. And if you wanted to get very specific, let's just move to the next slide, please, Bree. As we think of the base Business Central, these are the features that we have impacted the least in Sparkrock 365. So out of the box, these have had the least amount of customizations to our solution. Move to the next slide, please, Bree. The items here in the darker gray, we have customized over 50% of the features and functions in those screens to meet the needs specifically for nonprofit organizations. And as we move to the next slide, you'll see all the items in the dark code color. These features simply did not exist in Business Central, and we have added those into our solution, Sparkrock 365, again, to meet the needs of nonprofit organizations like yourselves. So fund accounting, grant and project accounting, purchase requisitions, encumbrance accounting. So all of these things we're going to get a peek at here today. Next slide, please, Bree. When we start the demo, we're going to be introduced to what we call role centers. And each role center has a different actionable dashboard. And so depending on the role, and there are over 20 roles to choose from, and we'll show you that today. And as we move through the solution to the next slide, please, Bree, what you're going to see is a fully cloud-based solution. It is responsive design. You can utilize the solution on any device. So whether you're on a desktop, as I am today, or you're on your tablet or your phone, you are able to get to the information you need quickly and easily. And what you're also going to see as we go through the demonstration is the integration with Office 365 Productivity Suite. So all of the tools, your favorite tools, right at your fingertips, and the ability to drill down throughout the solution, right down to the supporting documentation that might be attached to that financial transaction. Next slide, please, Bree. And so Steve Jobs, many years ago, identified that finding all this information in a timely manner could prove to be difficult. And so we do have a special treat for you today, as Bree kind of mentioned in our agenda. To the next slide, please, Bree. So in conclusion of our demo, we'll be taking a sneak peek at what's to come to Sparkrock 365 with the introduction of Copilot AI embedded right in Business Central solution. And so not only does that support a chat tool for asking questions against your business data, but you'll see that the AI tools are pervasive throughout the solution, allowing you to use it to do deeper analytics or even help you with your reconciliation processes. So with that, I'm going to exit out of this PowerPoint and I'm going to share my application. One moment, please. Okay. All right. Actually, sorry, Bree, I'm just going to share something different here. Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you for that patience. That's always the hardest part of the demo is sharing the right screens. So here we are. I'm currently logged into Sparkrock 365. I'm logged in currently with an account manager role. And so just to demonstrate, so my accounting manager, and I'm going to be doing the demo in this role today with giving me the most privileges, but you can see there are over 20 roles to choose from, and each one of those roles can be aligned to your users and also further configured to meet your specific needs in regards to what tools and features your users need access to. Now, what you'll probably notice first off is like many other Microsoft products that you use is that your main menus are located at the top with your drop-down functionality. But in addition to that, you have the ability to create favorites. So any of your common used features or business processes, you can create a favorite toolbar. And then below that, we have our actions. And further down, you're going to see the dashboard. And so based upon my role right now, which is the accounting manager, this is an actionable dashboard. And you'll see how it is actually even color coded to bring my attention to things that need my attention first. So what should I act on immediately? There is also built-in user tasks that you can set timelines on, you can assign to other people in your organization, and you can also have it go directly to the task that needs to be completed. So for example, here I'm going to create my report. I could bring it out on demand, or I can even put it on a schedule and have it deposited to my inbox. So now let's continue down on this main page. So further, in addition to the actionable dashboard, you have the ability to create favorite insights. And so, for example, on the left, we have our favorite GL accounts. So these might be GLs that I have responsibility for. And if I want to view any details on them, I can just open up that GL and I can view not only the details, but on the right, all of the statistics and details in regards to the ins and outs of that GL. And so we talked about in the beginning of our presentation, I mentioned encumbrance accounting. And so that is tracking your budget against not only what you've actually spent, but any purchase requisitions would encumber funds, and as would purchase orders would also encumber funds automatically from your budget. So you don't, you'll have full transparency and no risk of going over your budget. Similarly to the GL accounts, we have our favorite vendors. So perhaps you're responsible for some specific vendors in your organization. And just like the GL, we can open up any one of our vendor cards and you can see all of the statistics in regards to the ins and outs of that vendor, as well as with the ability to drill down on any one of those actionable items. So let's come back to our dashboard here. And I'm just going to scroll down some more. And so here we have built-in reports, and you have control in regards to what type of reports are going to display here. So for example, I would just select chart, and maybe I want my aged accounts payables, for example. And so now this is going to bring my attention directly to things that I might need to deal with, and I can click right through to go directly to those specific invoices and deal with them as need be. Now let's continue down. We talked about that report inbox. So here is where any scheduled reports are going to be sent and available for me. And even further, when it comes to reporting, you can embed Power BI reports right into your dashboard. And we do have Power BI experts on staff, and happy to help you with that. And so, as you know, Power BI is quite a powerful tool. Not only can it give you wonderful visual representations of data, but it also can gather data from not just your financial solution, but from other data sources as well. And so this really allows for some customized dashboards and specific experiences for your users. So coming back up to our main page here, I'm going to start off, I want to introduce you to some of the common functionality that you'll find throughout Sparkrock 365. So I'm going to start off with our vendors page. And as I said, what you're going to see here is available across all of the pages that you'll find in the solution. So first of all, finding vendors supports a simple keyword search. And so when I say a keyword search, it's not just looking at the vendor name, it also will look at address you to the correct very quickly. But also, in addition to simple keyword searching, there is, of course, advanced search filters that allow you to search for complex data using a multiple level of filters. And once you've built those searches, you can save them. And so accessing those saved searches at any time, you just click on the Save Search to execute it. Now, in addition to that, I want to share with you the integration with the Office 365 productivity tools. So you'll see here at the top right of my screen, we have a share. And my share options, I've got several. One, I could open this data that I'm looking at in Excel. I can edit this data in Excel. I can share it to Teams, and I could also just copy a link and send it out in other ways, maybe through an email, for example. The Edit in Excel feature is used by our customers a great deal. It allows for quick and easy access to making mass changes. So for example, perhaps one of my purchasing agents have left the organization, and I'm going to, instead of changing that data vendor by vendor in the system, I can open that up here in Excel. And as we look at this, so perhaps, for example, maybe my JR purchasing person has left and everything is going to move over to AH. And so I can just make those changes here in the Excel document, and then I can publish that. And so that is going to take those changes and publish them back up to our Sparkrock 365 vendor records. And so I'm just going to exit out of our PowerPoint. I don't even need to save it here. And if we look at these vendors, so for example, Chase Bank was one of the vendors that had the change done to it. We have this really fantastic audit ability, which is a change register. And so this is going to show you all of the changes that have happened to this vendor, who made the change, what was the old value, and what was the new value. So here was the old value, was the purchasing code was JR, and now the new value is AH. Now, so very simple to use, make mass changes and push them up. If you do have approval rules on those types of changes, it would also then kick off an approval process for that. So let me just exit out of here. And so that type of functionality, the integration with Office 365, the keyword searching, the advanced searching, these are all things that you're going to see common as we move across the different screens. Where I want to go to next is our chart of accounts. So everybody familiar with your chart of accounts, and if you're familiar with Microsoft Dynamics, you're also familiar with dimensions. So the chart of accounts being our natural GL, you'll see here that with the encumbrance and counting, we have this built in. We have your budget and then your commitments, encumbrances, and your expenses, as well as what's left with your budget available. And in addition to the chart of accounts and a dimension, so let's just take a look at our dimensions. So the dimensions are meant to be added into your chart of accounts. So if you have specific locations or funds that you need to track, each dimension can have multiple values. So here, for example, in my fund, I have my fund 1, fund 2, and so on. And so you can have unlimited values with each dimension. But what Sparkrock has done is we've taken that one step further and we've introduced this concept of account sets. And what account sets do is they take your natural GL and allow you to tag it to specific dimensions, creating a unique code. And those unique codes called account sets can be used by your users. So whether that's departments or whoever is coding transactions can use those account sets to improve the accuracy of the data being entered, and as well as the speed of entering that data. So instead of putting in the natural GL and then choosing all your other dimensions, the account set has already put everything together for you to use. All right, so let's continue on here. So where I want to go to next, so we looked at the chart of accounts and how it's wonderful to see that encumbrance accounting, but typically you're not going to want to give access to your entire data set to all your users. And so we've created a tool, a feature called financial analysis that allows you as administrators to create data sets that can be shared with users in your organization. And so these are, in my case, in my demo, I've only have access to these 2 data sets to run my financial analysis on. It allows me to filter by dates as well as by GL or department or fund, and I'm just going to view the data. And so this is going to give me an overview of all of the data contained in that data set, including my budget and encumbrances, and how much of my budget is still available. And so in this case, we can see 58% of it has been used already. So financial analysis is something that makes it very simple and easy for you to share out the relevant budget and performance against budget data with your team. Where I want to go to next is I want to quickly show you the purchase requisition process. So unique to Sparkrock 365, instead of starting at a purchase invoice, we have the opportunity to start from the requisition stage. And so I'm just going to click on New. And it's going to start off with our data entry screen to enter a new purchase requisitions. Now you can have different purchase types. So we'll call this is going to be a standard order. And as I come down here, I have my lines. And so what do I want to do here? Do I want to create a purchase order? Is this an item? So if this was an item I was entering into this rec, that would be pulling from my inventory. In this example, I'm going to use an expense type. And so my expense type here, I'm going to say is supplies. And this is going to quickly find me all of the matches for supplies, and I can choose that. I can put details in here. So maybe these are folders for presentation. And as I tab through these fields, I'm going to choose my vendor. And as I type, the narrower my list becomes, and I can just tab through and it will default to the last match. And continuing through, we can see it's defaulted to my purchaser code. How many folders am I purchasing? Maybe I'm getting 20 of them, and maybe they cost $15 each. The tax treatment is being pulled currently from the vendor. So whatever the tax rules on that vendor are is what's going to pull into our line here. Now we have the option to set our account set. So if you remember, this marries my natural GL with the dimensions. So I'm going to choose my program supplies here, and I've got my first line entered. So now perhaps I want to add an additional line. So I'm just going to come here. It's an expense type, but in this case, it's not going to be supplies. We're going to choose something different, and maybe these are masks, for example. The default vendor has come in as we have that tagged against them. Maybe I'm getting 100 masks and they're 50 cents each, for example. So now when we come to the account set, I'm going to choose a different account set to tag that against. And again, I can tab through here, and we can see with that account set, all these dimensions are automatically filled in for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and send that out for approval. And what is you're going to see is that I have different approvers for each line on my requisition. So I have one approver who is approving the program folders, and I have another approver who's going to approve the mask, so demo 1. And so this is going to allow you to make sure that everybody is informed about the purchases that are coming out of their GLs of responsibility, and that they are approving their own line items. So what that looks like for the approver, and actually before I leave here, I did want to mention, of course, that you can upload and attach digital files. So if this was maybe you had a quote from the vendor and you needed to attach backup of that, you can do that. And the ability to attach documents is pervasive across every business process and each page. As well as the ability to add links and notes into these financial records as well. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to open up my approvers interface. I'm just going to come over here. Okay, so here we are in the approvers role. So they are a department manager, so a department manager role. And we can see that they have pending approvals. So I'm going to just go to my request to approve. And here I'm just going to sort on my dates. So here's the one that we just entered. And I can see it here as well as the detail along with that. And I'm just going to go ahead and approve that. Okay, so once that's been approved, it's then once it's approved by the next approver, it would then be ready to move along the process, taking it through to purchase order and then to purchase invoice once the goods are received. All right, so continuing along on our high-level overview, what I want to share with you is a unique business processes that we've created to solve very real problems that our customers are having. And that is the ability to manage your P cards and have a reconciliation process against those P cards. So, you know, nowadays we just saw how you could do a requisition, but what happens if you're using a purchase card? What our system will allow you to do is you can assign the purchase cards to your different users. So each user, let me just open this one up here. We can just edit this list. And so you can see that each user, the card number is assigned to the user. They are also assigned a vendor number or the vendor that the corporate visa belongs to. So in this case, our corporate visa belongs to vendor number 140,000. And we can see who is the user in your organization that is attached to those cards. So what happens is those purchase cards get imported into our system through a purchase card journal import. And what happens for your end users who now need to reconcile? So let's say I'm the account holder of that credit card. I'm going to come over here to what we call mySparkrock. And so this is a self-service for your employees. I'm just looking at expenses and claims today, but it certainly can do a lot more for you, including attendance, timesheets, scheduling, and so on. And so we're just going to come into our expenses. Oops. Here we go. So you'll see we have two different sections, expenses and claims. And so I'm going to start here in expenses, and what you're going to see is anything that is in here that has the credit card next to it means that this was imported in from the credit card statement. And so now the organization will need me to review this and properly tag this. So do I tag this? And so the categories and GLs or account sets that are available to them here are going to be based upon their privileges. So what is available? You also, if you have very stringent guidelines or rules when it comes to expenses, you can link in your policies. So your policy regarding lunches or breakfasts or that type of thing. And you'll also see here how they can attach receipts for what their expense was and assign the GLs. And so that's what happens when those P cards come in. They will come into their expenses area for them to reconcile. Now, there's also the idea that you might have simple reimbursable expenses or maybe mileage expenses. So to create a new expense, I would just click on new expense. So this is a scenario where I'm not reconciling the P card, but I've actually, you know, spent some money out of pocket, and now I'm looking to get reimbursed for it. And so when I enter that, I'm going to start off with a description. And so maybe this was dinner with clients or what have you. What was the cost? And so when they choose that detail, there are rules that get invoked in regards to how much, you know, can that dinner cost if depending on your rules and policies. Oops, sorry, I'm going to come to our attachments, expenses, and so I'm just going to attach a document here. And you can drag and drop as well, as opposed to pulling it up as I did there. And this is going to be, you know, just your amount. So this isn't miles that I'm tracking, I'm just tracking an amount. And also we can choose different tax treatments. So depending on the type of expense, maybe you get your GST is recoverable in some circumstances, maybe only part of it is recoverable. You can set up default tax rules with each expense type, and I'm just going to save that. And so that's creating a regular expense. So once I've created these expenses, then I can submit them in a claim, and I can select as many as I need or deselect, and I would just click on make a new claim. And so what happens is I then will give me a option to create a description. So in the case of your P cards, that would probably be like a monthly claim. In this case, I'm just going to do a travel claim and put in additional details or that I might have. And as we look at this, we can see which expenses are attached. So in this case, we have the supplies and the dinner attached. If I wanted to detach any one of those, I could just detach it at this step here. Okay. So now from here, once I've attached all my expenses, I would just submit that claim and it would go through the business process. In the case of P cards, it would reconcile the P cards against the journal import and clear them out from a clearing account as you're reconciling them. So from here, I want to come back over to our main system. So we promised you a sneak peek at what's to come when it comes to AI. So I'm just going to quickly change my demo environment here. And I'll log back in. All right. So what you're going to see coming to Sparkrock 365 soon is the embedded Copilot AI within the solution. And so just by clicking on the Copilot, it now is going to bring up my chat prompts and my chat options along with any prompts. So for example, if I want to view the prompts, I've got find, explain, and guide, or I just can put in natural language in here. So for example, I'm going to say, how many posted purchase invoices this year? And I'm going to say sorted highest to lowest. And so this is really going to be transformational for our customers. It's going to change the way that you find and get to information. It's going to bring back our results very quickly here. You're going to see that it's going to do the calculation for us on how many posted purchase invoices, and it's also going to allow us to go directly to those results. So we'll just give it a second. It's dig it into the records, it says, so you can see the tasks that it's doing. And when it's completed, it will also give you all of the references to show you its results. Not only is it going to answer questions about our business data, so in this case, we can see, okay, I found 46 posted purchase invoices for this year. Here are the top 3. We can see the references for them here, but I also can go directly to those results on the page. And so what you're going to see here on my results page is that the filters are automatically created. Oops, sorry, let me go to the filter. So you can see the filter was automatically created. So starting January 1st to December 31st. And also, I'm able to now use these tools to analyze this data further. So this AI Analyze List tool is going to be available in all of your screens, not just your posted purchase invoices. And what it will do is allow you to create reports using natural language. And so I'm going to say summary by vendor, for example. And I'll click on generate. And so this is going to create a report based upon the data results. And so you can see that it's giving me the pivot table so I can continue. I could also ask it to give more information. And so maybe I'm going to go summary total by vendor, or whatever other details I might want. And so I can continue building my reports like this. I can update it, or I can also interact with the pivot table tools as well. And once I have the report the way I want it, I can just say keep it. And so now every time I'm in my posted purchase invoices page, this view is going to be available to me. And so it's a quick and easy way for you to create those reports. Now, in addition to it finding data, it can also help me and show me how to do things. So for example, how do I set up user permissions? And it will give me step-by-step prompts on how to do that. And so as you can see here, we're going to, and so this is really going to speed up that time to productivity for your users. So if they don't know how to do something, they need more information, they can search the chat and it's going to take them directly to those details. Now, in addition to the analyze tools and the chat tools, there is also the concept of the reconciliation and matching. So when you think about things like your e-documents, so if you have invoices that are coming into the system through OCR, it can do, Copilot can match your purchase order using Copilot, so it can look for matches as well as helping with bank reconciliation. So this is the document matching. It's going to show me, so the auto match tool that is standard in the system had 0 of 5 lines, whereas Copilot matched 100% of it. So it enhances that matching capability. And we can even drill down and see exactly why they matched. So for example, here in my invoice, it said Colombian roasted coffee. In my purchase order, it said whole roasted beans Colombia. And so it is using that AI to improve your matching capabilities. And then again, you can keep that information or you can discard it. Similarly to the e-document matching, you're going to see the ability to use this for bank reconciliation, but also there is the ability for you to use it for creating content on your items. So if you either through AR or even AP in your items, you're able to use this tool to create your descriptions. So what that means is here we have all these attributes about this desk, but I can use this AI tool to create a description. So it's called a marketing description to make that easier. So for example, here it's going to have my description. So now anybody looking for that item would be able to see that wonderful description about that item. AR is also very prevalent now in your AI is now very prevalent in your accounts receivable. So for example, in your sales invoices, you can use AI to automatically create your line items. So for example, and I'll just put somebody in here as a customer. And then I'm going to use the AI tool to suggest sales lines. So maybe I'm going to say I want 10 desks, and it's going to go out and find any desks that I might have available. And it's also going to create the quantity. So I've got that Athens desk. I'm going to have 10 of them, and I'm going to insert that. So certainly a great tool for the AR level, and I think this is just a sneak peek of where we're going to see AI going in the future. So not yet available in the invoicing, AP invoicing, but is there in the AR method. Now, so I'm just going to conclude our live demo part of the session today. So we started off looking at your user experience. We looked at how you would be able to integrate and with your Microsoft Productivity Suite, as well as how you can make use of some of the unique tools we have, like P cards and expenses, and our future direction when it comes to AI. And so I'm just going to stop sharing and hand this back to Bree. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Gotta love technology. The AI was amazing, Wendy. I am very excited to see that. And so now that we've had a chance to look at the demo and get a sneak peek at AI, it is time to look at our Q&A. So we do have a few questions, and I'm going to start with, what license is required for Copilot to work? And I think I'm going to try to pass this back to Wendy.
Great. Thanks, Bree. So the Copilot AI, as I mentioned, is on our roadmap for 2025 in Sparkrock 365. And so that licensing detail will be released when it becomes generally available. Unfortunately, I don't have any added insights to give you on that just now. Sorry. And then there was another question. I can take this one, Bree, if you like.
Here, I'll pass it back. Sorry, Wendy, I took over from you.
That's okay. All right. Just let me know when I'm back. Okay. So the other question I see here is, can you add an approval workflow for adding new vendors? And yes, absolutely, for sure. And even if it was to be added, as you saw in that edit Excel, if I had added a new vendor in that Excel document, that could kick off an approval workflow too. Good questions.
So now I have a question that I think Gary can answer. So we got kind of an overview and a sneak peek of everything today. What can we do to get a more in-depth demo of Sparkrock?
Thank you, Bree. Very good questions. So I think the best next step would be to reach out to the Sparkrock team. You can reach out to us at connect@sparkrock.com. We'll be very happy and delighted to sit with you, assess what your requirements are, and do a demo.
So that was the 3 main questions I've seen sneak in. Feel free to keep putting any questions in the Q&A. If you have any questions, because maybe you're not watching this live or your teammates end up having a few more questions for us, you can reach us at connect@sparkrock.com, just like Gary mentioned. And there's also a wealth of information on our website. Lots of guides you can download. There's other webinars you can watch. And with that, I would like to thank Wendy and Gary. Thank you for being amazing presenters today. And thank you for everyone who's joined. And I want to wish everyone a happy Thursday and have a great weekend. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.